Yeah, it's already pre-ordering at $20, is Weatherlight Compleated. An absolutely huge, like, I don't want to say character in the story, but it kind of is at this point. Weatherlight Compleated is now on its way to becoming Phyrexian, and I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, it might be overhyped, but I do think it's kind of interesting. Let's look at the card real fast. First off, it's 2 mana for a flying 5/5. Yes, it's a vehicle, so according to the rules, it can't attack unless it's a creature. And Weatherlight does not have crew. I saw a comment, actually Morrow commenting on the spoiler post on Reddit for this card, and him saying, yes, mechanically and lore-wise, both. It doesn't have a crew anymore. So in the story, it doesn't have a crew, and the card design does not have crew. As long as it have 4 or more of its counters on it, it becomes a creature. And to get counters on it, a creature you control has to die. It's whenever a creature you control dies, it can be a token. Right. Put a Phyresis counter on it, and then draw a card if it has 7 or more on it. And if it doesn't, scry 1. So it's a really wordy way, in my opinion, to say, and I'm not a designer, so I'm sure they worded it the best they could, but early on, when a thing dies, when a creature you control dies, you get to scry 1. Then once it has 4 counters on it, it becomes a flying 5/5 creature. And then once it has 7 counters on it, you get to draw a card whenever a creature you control dies.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Let's set aside the fact that it becomes a creature, a flying 5/5, because I think that's probably the worst thing on this card.
Yeah, because then it can be removed, right?
Yeah, you essentially want to play this as a draw engine.
Right.
That's what it works for. I do see in chat, Bobby Z is saying it's great for aristocrats. I do agree.
Obviously.
I do agree.
Obviously.
So yeah, as like a 2-cost artifact that just sits on the battlefield that's going to allow you to scry and draw cards, that it's good. So is it $20 good? I don't know. I don't know.
It's a mythic piece of a very popular archetype in Commander. And so the, you know, the Tevish Zat player in me, that's been one of my favorite decks that I built this year, was my Tevish Zat deck. And the Tevish Zat deck in me goes, oh wow, I can get this 2 mana draw engine online so fast. I can just sack Thralls, which is something I already want to do to get value off of all my other value stuff. But then once this is out and 7 things have died, you're drawing cards. That just seems really strong. Obviously, I kind of am with you.
It's going to play like a Necropotence. I mean, maybe it's like seriously just going to fill your hand up so ridiculously once you get to that point in the game.
Every single time something dies. Yeah.
Every time a creature dies. Yeah, maybe it is going to be just an absolute powerhouse, but it really doesn't do anything by itself, which is, I think, what people will complain about is, you know, it's like by itself, it's just a blank.
For sure. For sure. But look at cards like the Monument, the uncommon enchantment that got printed into Ikoria. No, it's not Monument. What's the name of that card? It's Bastion. Thank you very much, chat. Bastion of Remembrance. This is the kind of card that, like, at least it creates a 1/1. It does do that, but there's a lot of pieces that just enter the battlefield and sit on the battlefield for an aristocrat strategy. So
that's true.
The potential for it to just be a 2 mana every single time something dies. I mean, imagine playing this and then playing Damnation and killing 7 or more creatures, period. It's going to turn, 4 or more creatures. It's going to turn into a creature as a result of your board wipe. So you're left with a 5/5 flyer after a Damnation. And then you've got the 7 or more counters on it eventually. Well,
that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
That's kind of a backdoor board wipe survival. It's weird.
Yeah, essentially, I see this as you're going to draw 4 cards before it gets removed. That's kind of like the vibe I get from it, is you're going to play this, and then as soon as it becomes a creature, it's going to get aced.
Seriously, that's the thing that it's funny on my second look at this, and with your opinion on top of it, I think the part I like the least is that it turns into a creature. And look, in the show notes, I was like, oh man, Jake freaking loves Peace Walker Colossus. So if we combine this with Peace Walker Colossus, we got, and this is more of a constructed play.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Now that actually is...
I knew you would love this.
I mean, that is not bad.
This is kind of interesting,
a 5/5
right?
5 that you can animate, just like
make it a creature.
Interesting. That's interesting. I wish it had a fun attacks trigger or something like that.
Yeah,
since
something.
It's so difficult to turn on. That is interesting though.
I was really interested to see how you would react to a combo of like turn 2, and again, this is more of like a constructed play. This isn't so much a commander play.
Oh yeah, sure.
You play Weatherlight Completed turn 2. Turn 3, you're playing Peace Walker Colossus. Next turn, you know, you're swinging with a 5/5 flyer that you're getting more value off of in other ways. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of medium, but it's kind of interesting. There's this new card printed called Astor, Bearer of Blades. Vehicles you control have crew 1. So if this is on the battlefield, if you play this on turn 4, Astor, and you already have Weatherlight Completed on the battlefield, and this is in standard. This will be in standard. So you play this turn 4 after your turn 2 or turn 3 Weatherlight, and you can use immediately. You can use Astor to crew Weatherlight and start swinging in. Am I analyzing that wrong? That's how those act, right?
ETBs, it's a 4/4. It enters the battlefield. Look at the top 7 cards. You may reveal an equipment or vehicle. I mean, that's deep. 7 cards is pretty much like find something, anything.
Right.
Put the rest on the bottom. Okay. Equipment you control have equip 1, and vehicles you control have crew 1. I definitely see this as like a 2 or a 3 of in some sort of constructed vehicles pioneer thing. I don't know if it makes it into like a Mardu Greasefang. Maybe it does.
Well, you know what card is already sort of in those formats is Colossus Hammer, with ways to cheat Colossus Hammer onto things. How about we cheat the fact that its equip is now 1 instead of 8?
That's just redundancy for Hammer Time.
Exactly.
That's just like a little piece of redundancy. I think this card should at least be a 2 of in those decks.
Right.
Because if you're trying to get that online, a lot of the time it doesn't work out. I know that it's 4 cost. That's the thing where this card falls short. Is it's expensive. It's at the top of the curve of most like Pioneer modern decks.
Right.
You really don't want a lot of 4-drops. So from that perspective, it makes sense that the ability it gives is very good. You know, you're getting that equip and you're getting that that crew for cheap.
I saw some people in chat mentioning Mech Hanger in combination with Weatherlight. They will also be in standard together. I think this is kind of an interesting card because I think people are going to be overhyped, but some of the interactions are actually hype worthy for me. You know, as an aristocrats piece, I like it. When we start talking about it's good in a very powerful, popular archetype in Commander, and it's a potential 2, 3 of, 4 of if the entire strategy's all in on it and you're counting on it getting removed, even though it's legendary, running 3, 4 of. You know, this is the kind of card that if it's got Commander playability, it's also got constructed, especially expanded constructed format playability. 2 mana, mythic. I mean, the potential is here as far as I know. You know,
I mean, the mana cost, the mana value is really good for being, you know, it's from a competitive standpoint, you want something that's low cost.
Right.
I don't know if it's super powerful. I do think aristocrats wants it.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, this is the kind of video that
says it's trash, whatever.
Seriously, we may look at, I can clip this in 6 months and be like, wow, what you can pick up Weatherlight Completed for $4 right now for your aristocrats deck. Enjoy.
I mean, let's just say this. I want to kind of remind people that when we last went to Dominaria, everybody freaked out over Weatherlight, and look at the price of that card now. And it's a precon card. It just shows up in the precon.
Yep. So it's been it was printed in the Dominaria. It's now a 45-cent mythic.
Yeah.
Because it was also printed on the list and printed in the Neon Dynasty Commander deck.
Everybody was like, oh my God, look at it. It only costs 4. And you're going to be able to get historic cards and dig through your deck, and it's easy to crew and all this stuff, but it doesn't really do anything. This one is already leagues ahead of 45 cents, but I don't know. Is it going to be a $3 card? Is it going to be a $6 card? I don't think it's worth $20, just in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe 10 or 15. Yeah, interesting. But Weatherlight Completed, I really like the flavor. I really like the callback. It's showing up again as a new version. Very cool. You know, let us know in the comments if you think this card is good or bad.